Well, when it comes to planning your retirement, there's only one question that really matters. Are you truly ready to retire? It may seem like a simple yes or no question, but if you dig a little deeper, you may find some very important decisions to make. Welcome to Retire Colorado, along with Alicia and Josh Lewis. I'm Bruce Steinbrock. Alicia's president, financial professional with Lehman Lewis. Josh is a financial analyst. You can reach out to the Lehman Lewis team, 970-446-1234. We say good morning, Alicia and Josh.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to be with both of you. Let's start, let's go on the financial side. So, Josh, since you're our resident Google financial dude, why is knowing when to retire more than just a decision about your finances?
Yeah, this is a really great question. And I think most folks kind of look at it through that lens, right? Of like, it's financial. And that's not always the case, right? Because we're talking about a major shift in your life. And it kind of goes from this flipping this switch of saying, hey, I just, worked, I saved for 30, maybe 40 years. And now all of a sudden I'm flipping that switch. I'm going to have an abundant amount of free time. And I'm also going to go from saving to spending. So obviously having a solid financial plan, that's really going to be the foundation. But I think a lot of people sort of underestimate kind of that emotional shift that you're going to have happen in retirement. So and this kind of comes back to society and just how things are ingrained in us when you look at kind of your career, right? When you get on an airplane and the guy sitting next to you goes, so what do you do for a living? That kind of role is such a societal thing of like, I'm an engineer, I'm this, I'm that. And so when you retire, what do you say? Oh, I'm retired. And so there is kind of that major significant switch, not only psychologically, but then there's a number of things that kind of happen with that. So I think that takes a lot of mental preparation to get to that point. And I think that's really why having those candid conversations, looking at retirement as sort of a holistic thing, not just a financial decision, is really important for a lot of people.
So let's talk about the first, I don't know if it's a financial sign or a personal sign, but some kind of a sign that says, we want to look for confidence and we want to make a decision about retiring, but we want to be confident doing it.
Absolutely. And I think this comes back to making sure that you have a clear, detailed financial plan. That is first and foremost, but also having that plan, again, of what do you want to retire to? And there's a lot of details that go into that plan, not just about how much you've saved, but really how are you going to turn the money that you've saved into a reliable income? How is that going to be taxed? When should you start Social Security? There's a lot of things that we're looking at there. And clarity is everything. And having that, just the no, okay, I'm okay. And here's how we're going to do it. And understanding that things can change and they probably will. But also it's so important to make sure that you're working with someone or, someone's, right? A team is always better than just one person. And that's what we have at Lehman Lewis Financial Group is we have a whole team here at your disposal, building the plan for and with you. But really when we're looking at that is, okay, we've got this plan, but we fully understand that things are going to change, whether it's things in your life, things in the market and the economy and investments, and the combination of both. So being able to have somebody with you navigating through that is very, very helpful because ultimately you don't want to go this journey alone.
970-446-1234, the number to reach out to the Lehman Lewis financial team. And remember, we also are, we're going to stream shows now on Facebook Live when we're doing, so you can see the how the sausage is made, if you will. We're also posting videos to YouTube and other social media platforms. On YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get notified when new episodes are uploaded. So we want you to stay tuned with the latest coming in from the Lehman Lewis financial team. Now, Josh, let's talk about another key area that folks need to have really more in order before they actually pull that trigger and stop working.
Yeah. So aside from having really cool hobbies that are going to occupy your time in retirement, you want to make sure you don't have a significant amount of debt. And I think a lot of times people, kind of look at this debt and for some folks, it's a big sort of goal or objective that they want to have sort of tidied up before they get to that point. Where a lot of times other people are like, well, I've had this mortgage for 15 years and I got another 15 to go. And honestly, that can take a lot of that kind of free cash flow in retirement. When you look at kind of your average American, they say FHA says about 30% of your income is what they would deem affordable housing. Well, if you think about being in retirement and a third of your income is going towards your mortgage, that, leaves 2/3 left. Wild math problem there. But it's that idea of, hey, like servicing that debt can be a huge segment of the income that maybe would be better served, spending on fishing stuff, in my opinion. But obviously having no debt or having a very small amount of debt, I think just is a big indicator of retirement readiness. Because again, every dollar that's going to pay off that debt is a dollar you're not spending towards retirement, or it's increasing your withdrawal rate. So, another big sort of factor to look at too is like, I'm not advocating if you got a sub 3% mortgage, I'm not saying go and pay it off, but I'm saying look at those things in a meaningful sort of fashion, have those conversations to look at, hey, if you are carrying a bunch of debt, like, let's maybe look at what should be prioritized, what should be just sort of serviced, and then how are those dollars best served in your overall retirement plan to sort of mitigate that debt over time, but making sure it's manageable and that it makes good financial sense at the end of the day.
Well, and I think, there's sometimes people are like, I can't stand debt. I just want to be out of debt. And it's like this weight on their shoulders. And, we had this not too long ago, it was just shy of a 4% mortgage. But it really kept them up at night. They were like, I just can't be comfortable with this debt going into retirement. And in cases like that, of course, we're like, okay, well, let's see if it makes sense to pay that off. And for them, it did. So we're not saying that even paying off some sub 3% is always a bad idea. Sometimes you just can't pay for that weight off your shoulders. But again, I think making sure that you've got a very intentional reason of why and what and where it's coming from. There's a lot to be said with just being intentional.
And Alicia, let's face it, in retirement, there's also the factor of Social Security. When do I start it? Because, I can pull the trigger and start at 62, but if I'm still working, probably not the right decision because I'm probably earning a high wage and I'd just be giving it back. And so what's the point? 65, is that the right year? Now, most of people listening right now, and after this year, we will never have to say 66 in so many months, but 67 will be the age. So how do you help somebody really dig in and find out when's the optimum time to take Social Security?
This is such a great question. And we love doing Social Security analysis and digging into this because it isn't just as simple as, take it at full age retirement or take it now because you can. There's a lot more that goes into it. And yes, I'm so glad that this year it's finally, 67, finally. So when we talk about Social Security, absolutely, if you are working or you're retiring and maybe going to have some sort of hobby job, that's where we always say time out. Don't start Social Security early because they will take $1 for every 3 that you make. So it is important to know some of those rules. But also just the fact of the longer you wait, obviously, the more you're going to receive. And then the cost of living adjustments are on top of that as well. And so there's a lot that we look at from the aspect of where is your other income coming from, even if you are in full retirement age and, we're kind of looking at when should you start Social Security. But we also look at the pressure that maybe is being put on your portfolio now of, okay, would it be wise to take the pressure off of off of your portfolio, start Social Security? But we're looking at taxes. We're also looking at what is your life expectancy. Now, again, none of us know when our last day on this earth will be, but ultimately, when we look at health, if somebody's like, gosh, I have a heart disease, and I'm probably not going to live to full life expectancy, that's where we would look at that and say, yes, let's not wait until 70 to take that because, if your life expectancy is less. So, but we're also looking too at what is going to be the benefit left for the surviving spouse. So again, lots that we are analyzing, and it's not just across the board. Here's what we recommend. It is truly specific to the family that we're working with, and a lot of questions just based on their personal situation.
So much more that Josh and Alicia unpack with you on Retire Colorado's very own Peace Out, Retire into Your Go-Go Years. If you'd like your very own copy of the book that Josh and Alicia wrote, all you need to do is call and request it at 970-446-1234. Call and request your copy of Peace Out, Retire into Your Go-Go Years, 970-446-1234. If you're just joining us, we're talking about, if you're truly ready to retire. So, Josh, what's a major expense that people often either underestimate or kind of forget about altogether?
Yeah, and this is a big one. And I think for some folks, it's top of mind. For others, it's, just nothing they really consider, and that's going to be healthcare. Healthcare is a huge one, right? When you look at just the cost of insurance after you get off your employer plan, but before Medicare, obviously some of those ACA subsidies are dynamically different than they were, say, in 2025. So, but the big thing I think a lot of people sort of forget about is even once you get on Medicare, it's not free, right? You're going to have your Part B, your Part D deductibles every month. That's going to be something to consider. If your income is really high, you could move up into an IRMAA tier, income-related monthly adjustment amount. So those things are going to actually increase based on the amount of income you're receiving. So if you're retiring before that 65, I think a lot of times people look at just the price of insurance and they get a little bit of sticker shock and recognize they don't dislike their job all that much. And are willing to stick it out. So I think looking at those costs and planning for those, and then also looking at it kind of with a little bit of a zoom out sort of mindset to say, okay, and what if I need maybe long-term care? Because as you get older, obviously medical expenses, healthcare, all of those things, they're not going to get any cheaper as you get older. So having something that's tangible that you can look at and plan for, I think is a really big, important part of that planning segment there.
Yeah, no doubt. So much to unpack. So folks, do yourself a favor and just reach out to Alicia, Josh, and the team. 970-446-1234. More Retire Colorado straight ahead.